The Viking explorations constitute one of the most extraordinary and underestimated episodes of the medieval world, a sweeping story of daring ambition, advanced seafaring technology, and cultural encounters that reshaped the edges of the known world. From the late 8th century onward, the seafaring peoples of Scandinavia, originating from Norway, Denmark, and Sweden, began expanding outward with a determination that astonished contemporaries. They were not only raiders, as stereotypes often suggest, but also explorers, merchants, settlers, navigators, diplomats, and skilled craftsmen whose influence stretched from the coasts of North America to the heart of the Byzantine Empire. Their longships, built with flexible wooden planks and a shallow draft, were technological masterpieces capable of crossing the rough North Atlantic while also sliding through narrow rivers, allowing them to bypass natural obstacles and reach places no other European civilization of the time could access. The motivations behind their journeys were varied. Population pressure in Scandinavia, political disputes, trade opportunities, a shifting climate that encouraged expansion, and a deep curiosity for distant lands. As they ventured westward, they reached the remote Faroe Islands and then Iceland, a volcanic island which they transformed into a structured society governed by laws, assemblies, and a unique literary culture that would later produce the sagas. These narratives preserved the memory of their voyages and became one of the richest sources for understanding the Viking spirit. Iceland, in turn, became the platform for an even greater feat, the discovery and colonization of Greenland by Eric the Red, who, after being exiled from Iceland for manslaughter, sailed west into unknown seas and found massive icy lands which he optimistically named Greenland to attract settlers. Against all odds, Norse communities survived there for centuries, hunting, raising livestock in marginal pastures, and maintaining trade links with Europe. Yet it was from Greenland that the most legendary exploration began. Around the year 1000, Leif Erikson, son of Eric the Red, sailed further west and reached a sequence of territories described in the sagas as Helluland, Markland, and Vinland. These lands, which modern research associates with Baffin Island, Labrador, and Newfoundland, represented the first known European contact with North America. The sagas describe rich forests, new animal species, and encounters with indigenous peoples called Skraelings. The archaeological site at Lanceau Meadows in Newfoundland, with its unmistakable Norse structures and artifacts, confirmed these accounts and proved that the Vikings crossed the Atlantic almost 5 centuries before Columbus. Their attempt to establish a lasting presence in Vinland was ultimately unsuccessful, likely due to conflict with indigenous groups, distance from supply routes, harsh winters, and the limited commercial value of the region. But the voyage remains one of the most remarkable achievements in medieval exploration. While the westward journeys capture modern imagination, the Vikings were equally influential in the East, especially the Swedish branch known as Varangians. Using the river systems of Eastern Europe as natural highways, they traveled deep into the territories of present-day Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus, establishing important settlements such as Novgorod and Kiev. These became centers of trade linking Scandinavia with Byzantium and the Islamic world. Norse merchants exchanged furs, amber, honey, iron, and slaves for silver, silk, wine, and luxury goods. Some Vikings entered the service of the Byzantine emperors as elite mercenaries, forming the famous Varangian Guard, an imposing force known for its unwavering loyalty, distinctive axes, and prominent role in palace politics. To the south and west, Viking activity reshaped the British Isles. They established the Danelaw in England, founded cities like Dublin and Limerick in Ireland, settled the Scottish Isles, and intermarried with local communities, influencing languages, laws, and cultural practices. Their adaptability was extraordinary. They could transform from raiders to rulers, from outsiders to integrated members of foreign societies. Their navigational skills were equally impressive. Without modern instruments, they relied on the sun, stars, wind direction, ocean swells, migrating birds, coastal landmarks, and possibly even sunstones, crystals that may have helped determine the sun's position on cloudy days. This intimate knowledge of nature allowed them to undertake journeys of thousands of kilometers across unpredictable oceans with remarkable precision. Beyond their maritime achievements, the Vikings also contributed to the spread of knowledge, technology, and cultural practices. They introduced shipbuilding techniques to the British Isles in continental Europe, shared innovations in metallurgy, and brought exotic goods, ideas, and stories from distant lands, influencing local art, folklore, and material culture. Their sagas, poems, and oral histories not only chronicled their daring expeditions, but also conveyed philosophical reflections, ethical codes, and communal values, serving as a bridge between the oral traditions of the past and the emerging literate societies of medieval Europe. Daily life on Viking expeditions combined rigorous discipline with adaptability. Crews relied on preserved foods, knowledge of seasonal winds, and social cohesion to survive harsh conditions. Trading outposts, markets, and temporary camps became hubs of cultural exchange where North practices mingled with local customs, fostering hybrid forms of art, language, and technology. As the Viking Age came to an end in the 11th century due to the rise of centralized kingdoms in Scandinavia, the spread of Christianity, and the strengthening of European defenses, their long-distance expeditions decreased. However, their legacy endured everywhere they traveled. They connected distant cultures, facilitated trade flows, introduced technological innovations, and left genetic and linguistic traces across numerous regions. Modern archaeology continues to reveal new evidence of their presence, suggesting that Viking travels may have been even more widespread than previously thought, with possible routes reaching North Africa, the Middle East, and deep into the Eurasian steppe. Far from being isolated warriors of the North, the Vikings were among the most dynamic agents of cultural interaction in the medieval world. Their story is a reminder that the Middle Ages were not a dark or static period, but an era full of movement, curiosity, invention, and human ambition. Through their sagas, shipwrecks, settlements, and artifacts, the Viking explorers continued to capture the imagination, standing as symbols of resilience, adaptability, and the enduring human drive to push beyond the horizon, demonstrating that even in the harshest conditions, ingenuity, social cooperation, and an unyielding quest for knowledge allowed them to leave an indelible mark on the medieval world and beyond.